Hello, friends. Okay, I miss y'all so much. I hope you are enjoying your time with your families and staying safe. We're going to pick up right where we left off. We've talked about, as you can see next to me, we have the language of discipline. Let me turn it. You can see we've talked about living and non-living things, and we said that another word for a living thing, we can just say organism, right? Because it can be a plant or an animal. Anything living is an organism. We talked about interdependence and how living and non-living things depend on one another. We talked about habitat and how that's important to each animal. And we talked about depending on that specific living thing's basic need, they have to survive, and if those basic needs aren't being met, chances are they're not going to survive. And we've talked a little bit about shelter, where they live, as well as life cycles. Remember, you go through a life cycle, I go through a life cycle. Every living thing goes through a cycle. It doesn't just appear like this. It has to go through stages, stages of growth, okay? There's some more words I want us to focus on for today, because we're going to get into animal characteristics. Okay, so we know we've talked about plants and we've talked about animals, but for this specific lesson, we're going to talk about animal characteristics. Okay, remember, characteristics are kind of like adjectives, they're describing words. So one thing I want you to focus on is this word: external. 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 I feel like I hear the word exit in that word, external. What do you do when you exit somewhere? You leave, right? You go out of wherever you are. If you're exiting, you're going out of that place, right? So when you think of external, I want you to think of the outside. So if we're going to be talking about the characteristics of animals, we want to talk about their external features. What can you see? You can't say, oh, they're so sweet, right? Because you can't see that. Talk about the external. Okay, are they furry? Do they have long nails? Do they have scales? Do they have teeth? Do they have eyes? Do they have ears? Okay, external means things you can see on the outside of the animal. Exit, on the outside. External characteristics or external features. Okay, I'm going to add this to our language of discipline. Remember, that is our vocabulary words, our voice, the words that we use that are common. Language of discipline. Our word today is going to be external. Okay. Another word I want you to think about is classify. When you classify something, you're basically sorting. So if I gave you a snake, a squirrel, and a chicken, you're going to classify them or sort them based off maybe their skin. Do they have skin or scales? Do they have fur? Do they eat meat? Do they eat grass? Do they live inside? Do they live outside? Do they live in a wet climate or a wet habitat or a dry habitat? So you're going to classify them or sort them based off their external features. Okay? And another word for classify and what you're doing when you're classifying: comparison. You're basically comparing them. I'm comparing a banana to broccoli. Okay, well, banana's yellow, broccoli's green, banana's a fruit, broccoli's a vegetable. So I'm going to classify them. I'm going to separate them because I'm going to compare the two. I'm going to compare their similarities and their differences. They're both healthy, but they don't go next to each other. One's a vegetable, one's a fruit. Okay? So since we're talking about external characteristics, the outside characteristics of an animal, a living thing, I have a friend with me today, and we are going to discuss this friend's external features or external characteristics. Dun 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 dun. Bing ding ding. Who is this? Cuddles. It is Cuddles. So looking at Cuddles, let's discuss his external features. Well, what can we see? We see that he has 2 ears, which are super duper delicate. That's why we always have to be quiet around Cuddles. He has fur. He has whiskers. 2 little eyes. He has paws. He has nails. I don't know if you can see his nails, but he has nails. I wonder why he has nails. What could be the reasoning for his nails? Okay. He has teeth, but I think he only has like 2 teeth. 2 sharp teeth. Remember when we're talking about characteristics, we want to be very detailed. We want to pretend that someone can't see and we're having to describe it to them. So we want to paint the biggest picture we can, the best picture in their mind. Okay, so his external characteristics is he has fur, really soft. He has eyes. He has whiskers, sharp teeth. He has 4 paws. He has nails. Okay. Another characteristic that I know about Cuddles is that he's active at night. Yes, he's active right now and it is daytime, but it's because Miss Mac woke him up. But he is active at night. He is tiny. Look at him just running, running, running. He's very active. He's very hyper. He's getting his exercise in. He's hairy, he's mini. Cuddles is also a rodent. Do you know what a rodent is? A rodent's anything like hamster, gerbil, squirrel, rabbit, guinea pig, ferret. Okay, so when we're talking about his external features, we want to talk about the things that we can see on him. His outside, his exit outside, external features. Okay? I have another example for you. A lot of the times too, why it's important to look at their external features is because that tells you a lot about the habitat they live in. Okay? I'll give you an example. Okay, look at these animals. We see that they're both snakes, but one, look at this one. The external features, it's green, like lime green, right? Has eyes. Okay, look at this one. The external features, brown, tan, black. So why might, when we think about the external features, why might this snake, what about this snake's habitat? Do you think it's similar or different than this snake's habitat? Remember, habitat's where it lives, its environment. I think this snake probably lives somewhere where there's a lot of greenery, trees, grass. And this snake probably lives in the desert where there's dirt, rocks. Okay, why might this snake, this green one, why might this one not survive in this snake's habitat? What do you think? Why might this snake not survive in this snake's habitat? Yeah, because can this snake camouflage or hide in the dirt? No. It's gonna stick out. Like, whoa, there's a green snake. And it's probably not gonna survive, right? Because there's some other animals that eat snakes. So it's important to know that this snake's habitat, it has to stay in its habitat so it can camouflage. Yes, they're both snakes, but their external characteristics are different, and that's important because you can't just put this snake in this habitat because then it won't survive. It'll stick out. Okay? So whenever you are looking at animals in their habitat or in their external features, you want to think about, well, where might I find these animals or this animal? And what type of habitat would they live in? What kind of food do I think that it would eat? How does this animal get its food? What or how can I describe its body covering? Is it scaly? Is it just skin? Is it fur? Is it feathers? Okay. And what's the purpose of that animal's body covering? What's the purpose? Why does one snake have lime green skin and one snake have brownish tannish skin? Because in their habitat, it's very important. They have to be able to camouflage so that they're not just out in the open to get eaten, right? So what I want you to do on here, on your activities, is I have put in, there is a brain pop for you to watch about classifying animals, means sorting animals. And I want you to remember that some animals live in water, some live on land, some live underground, right? And in the air. So animals live all over the place. And just because animals live in different habitats, they all have a lot of needs. And it's important that those needs are being met in that habitat. If you just take that animal out of their habitat, you're also taking it away from its basic needs. And so it's not going to survive. If I talking about plants, if I go outside and I pick a flower, what's going to happen to the flower? It's going to die because is it getting its basic needs of sunlight, water, soil? Nope. So I can't just pick a flower and expect it to live, right? I can't just take Cuddles and go and put him in the pond, right? That is not his habitat. I would never do that. Okay, so remember your word, external, outside. You're going to classify them. You're going to sort them. All the furry animals over here. All the scaly animals over here. Then you can be like, okay, well, all the animals that live in water over here. Or I'm going to classify them based off these animals are rodents, and these animals are, I don't know, bears or mammals, big animals, okay? So when you classify, you're basically sorting them, okay? And you are comparing. You're saying what's alike, what's different, and that's how we come to be able to classify these animals, okay? So enjoy the Brain Pop video on classifying animals. Also, I put on there a live video stream of African animals. So if you go on there, it's just live. Cameras are set up like through trees and stuff, and You just get to watch the animals interact in their habitat. It's really cool. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this, and Cuddles says hi. He's running around in his ball. So, love you all.